Death, therefore grief, is a part of human life. It's our job as parents to demonstrate and teach our kids how to be in community. But places like this, where I'm from, England, we don't actually talk about death, let alone the difficult emotion of grief. So how do our kids actually learn this stuff? That's what I'm talking about today in this video. Stay to the end and I'll be doing a little card pull if you're interested in that, just changing things up a bit here. So you're very welcome. Come and join me on the other side. Welcome back to Carrie's Crack here on A Spiritual Life, where I show you that I'm doing this work too, so we can walk this path together. If you're new here, I'm Carrie, a mindfulness teacher, a home educating mum of two on a non-religious spiritual path. If that all sounds like you, you're very welcome here. Okay, let's dive in to today's topic, which is teaching our kids about grief and letting them see us in grief and not shying away from that. So I'm somewhat of an expert on all this, you could say. Yes, a mindfulness teacher. Yes, know about the tools to get close to all the emotions. And as far as grief goes, I've had 3 big losses in my life, both my parents and my father-in-law, all within 3 years. So you could say I'm a bit of an expert on it. And if it wasn't for these tools, it would have been a different ballgame. I've got a whole video just on loss. You can check that out. I will link it in the description and it'll be at the end as well, so you can check that out. But goes into a lot more depth on loss. So death, therefore, grief is a part of human life, like I said at the beginning. It is, like, it's a big emotion, grief. Massive emotion. And whether you've been through it yourself or not, you've got to know and realise it's coming, right? You're going to have to deal with grief at some point in your life because it's inevitable. It's the life-death cycle. But do we have the tools for when that comes? And the most important thing is, do our kids have it when it's our time? And that's the importance. That's what I want to get across in this video today. And as with anything, being a parent, we're here to demonstrate and mirror, show us doing the work and mirror it, because that is how they learn the best. It's no good do as I say, not as I do. So mirror what you want your kids to be. So you've got to learn the tools first so you can mirror and show and demonstrate, as well as teach it through expression and communication. And we do that in every area of our lives. If we're a conscious parent, if we're a parent that cares about our kids and cares about how they grow up and cares about the society that they're going to be in, then we're very mindful of what and how we teach our kids. And we do it in everything. We do it when we're teaching them potty training. We're doing it when we're teaching them all sorts of things. You know, how to read and write. How do you show your kid how to read and write? You will show them and demonstrate how to read and write. Then you'll give them some verbal cues. Same with toileting. Same with walking and all these things, right from a baby all the way up. Especially as a baby, because as a baby you don't have the language communication. So it's all through energy and through the way they see us. So if they don't see you handling grief, how can we expect them to handle grief? You know, an absolute thing that is going to happen is death and how we deal with it. So I was listening a while back now, there was a comment on social media. In fact, there was a post. So let's go back to the post. The post said, I can't remember how old, I think they were a bit older than my kids. their son was about 11 or something, and he'd written something like, "I don't know how I can help you when you're sad," or something like that, and she was going through grief. And she wrote this post, "I don't know how to be with him. I don't know what to do." And I wrote this comment back saying, what an amazing place you're in right now, although difficult, that you can actually connect with your son in this very vulnerable place you're in and just tell him what's going on. You don't have to open a can of worms. You only have to be as vulnerable as you want. But by being a little bit, even just a little bit vulnerable, there will be some connection there because he will hear it from his heart. And I said, what a gift to be able to show him how to grieve one way that you're doing so that he can then grieve you. An amazing gift you can give him, a lasting gift that will go beyond your death. And there was a comment back. I mean, there was, out of all the comments, that comment that I put had the most reactions to it, hearts, likes, whatever. So it resonated with a lot of people, what I said. But there was one. There's always one. And and I'm open-minded, I will hear everyone's side of the story and be the first one to say, "Oh, I never saw it like that. Yeah, you've got a point." So I'm always open-minded to what these people say. And this comment said, you should never put your grief onto your child. If you want to grieve, you should go out and sit in the car and cry. And again, I don't like to be any sort of judgmental of anybody. That's part of the mindfulness process. Paying attention on present moment, paying attention in the present moment, non-judgmentally, right? That's what mindfulness is. So I don't like to be judgmental, but I was a bit taken back and I thought, "Ooh, hang on. That's how you deal with your grief in front of your child, or that's how you're saying this lady should go outside and cry in the car." It didn't sit well with me, that. And that's when I replied by saying, it's a long-lasting gift you can give your kid. So you don't have to open a can of worms. You don't have to break down and ask your kid for help. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is open up, be vulnerable, tell them why you're crying. Tell them it's not every day. It's not going to be like this every day. Tomorrow I might not be grieving, but right now in this moment I am. And actually, it's another lesson because it's showing him how you can be with the moment and feelings. But it's also showing him the fluidity of emotions, isn't it? By saying, "Not like this all the time, but right now I am." And he can sit with your pain, learn. That's a valuable lesson for our kids to learn because we don't know it. Like I said at the beginning, where I'm from in England, we don't talk about death. So when you're grieving, people don't know how to be around you grieving. So if we can teach our kids that too, that is amazing. To be able to sit in a difficult emotion, that is a massive life lesson we can teach our kids. So I'm jumping around the place here. I've got some notes in front of me. So what does this look like then? Okay. So what I'm saying is cry if you need to cry and let them see. Let them ask questions. You don't have to divulge everything. Give what you want to give, but give them something. Because they're curious, because they want to learn, and because they need to learn how to be with this difficult emotion and to be in somebody else's difficult emotion. So I we have, it's all out there now. It's big. It's out there. We've said it. We've done this big thing where we're still in this house at the minute, but by the time this goes out, we will be out of here, and we are following our dreams. We're selling everything to travel and be together as a family. And um, one thing I did with that was we had to sell everything. So I had to go through all my stuff. Now, like I said, I've lost both parents, obviously grandparents as well. Well, not obviously, some people still have them, luckily. But yeah, grandparents, parents, and I've got things in boxes in loft that I had to go through. So there was one day when I was doing that and I was going through things, and one of my things I would recommend, it's not difficult, it's not an easy process, but I would recommend it. And after they died, I wrote a letter to them. And it might not be right after, it might be a few months after, whatever. So there was my dad and my granddad and my mum that I wrote these letters to, and I came across them when I was emptying these boxes in my loft. And obviously, they pull on the heartstrings and the tears come down. And hubby came in, and hubby's hubby, he doesn't switch on when it comes to emotions. And he didn't even see it. I had to literally look at him in the eye to even let him see the tears, and I was upset. But the kids noticed. The kids came in and they went, "Oh, mummy, why are you crying?" And I said, "So then, what are you supposed to do? What society teach us? Oh, they're coming up the stairs. Let's dry the eyes away and act all like everything's fine." What does that achieve? Let's be honest. Let's play devil's advocate. What does that achieve? If I dried my eyes and acted like nothing's happened and pretend and be fake and not real and not authentic, all these buzzwords we've got going on now for a good reason, in my opinion, and put this facade on to my kid, do you know what? They'll know something's wrong. Maybe better than hubby would, but they can sense energy. Like I said, it's not always verbal. So they can sense it. And that's not who I am. And that's not how I want to bring up my kids. Because the earlier they can learn how to be with difficult emotions and other people's, the better. So I just said, I'm upset. I'm reading some things. I'm reading a letter I sent to my dad and everybody after they died, and it's just upset me a bit because I miss them so much and love them. And kids being kids, oh, all right, and off the pop. But it's amazing how much they'll take on from that little explicit thing that you've just thought, oh, they're not even bothered. They've found the answer and they've gone off. It goes in. It really does go in. If you look back over your childhood, I've got goosebumps now talking about this. It's so true. If you go back over your childhood and think about things that were pivotal to you, things that someone said to you and you changed your direction because of what someone had said, it was a flippant comment and it stuck. They didn't intend it to, but you took it that way and it stuck. And you've based your life, got in your beliefs and everything on that little thing. It's really, really fragile to be a parent and have that weight of responsibility when you become a conscious parent and you understand this. So yeah, that, oh, all right, I'm walking off. There's more going on there. So I'm glad I did it. And the older they get, they might ask a few more questions and they might stay with that a little bit longer, that curiosity, which mindfulness teaches us to be more curious. Kids have it already. They're already there. Let's not bash it out of them. So yes, that's one example. A few weeks ago now, we followed a hearse. I don't know if you've ever seen that when you've been with your kids, but we were literally the car behind, and they were in the back seat, and I was welling up. Again, it just the grief comes in waves. Some things spark it that you expect, and some things don't, that you don't expect. The grief wave comes. So they didn't know I was welling up, but they were like, "Oh, why are we going so slow, mummy?" And you know, I was thinking at the time how people are just getting on with their daily life. As this car, this hearse is going down the road, and how back in the day we used to respect that. They used to stop, and the gentleman would tilt the hat. Have you even heard of that? Have you even heard that that is a thing? That that's what we used to do? How we respect the dead and those grieving in the car following that hearse? That's what they used to do. Stop. Stop everything and show some respect for their last journey. And so that was a teaching point. So when they're saying, "Oh God, we're going so slow. Why can't you overtake that car, mummy?" And I had to explain. I said, "No, we're not going to overtake that car. That car is going very slowly because there's a dead person in that car. That's called a hearse, and they're going to a funeral. This is that person's last journey, and the family are behind. Imagine what their family are thinking, and that is why they go so slow, to respect that person's last journey." And then I said, people used to stop and tilt their hat and bow their heads, and it's not happening anymore because we're so caught up in this busy, busy world, we can't even pause to acknowledge someone's death, even if it doesn't mean anything to us. What a sad world. So let's bring that respect back about the death. Because this is another point. If we can respect death enough to talk about it, we can truly live life because we're not in fear of it. Like I said at the beginning, it's a part of human life. Death is a part of human life. Grieving, therefore grief, is a part of human life. But we don't have to fear it. It's like with all emotions. They're all difficult, all painful. Oh my God, are they painful? Do they hit hard? These real big emotions. But if we don't go towards them, what do? We push them away, we distract, we reach for the bottle, we reach for the fags, we reach for all the stuff we know isn't good for us. And then when we become addicted, we'd rather be addicted to something that isn't good for us than to sit in some difficult emotion because we don't know how. And this is what I'm all about here. And I say that we need to learn the tools first so we can then demonstrate it and mirror it to our kids and our partners, demonstrate it and teach them. And we become a connected and conscious family doing so. That's my passion. That's where I want to go with this. And so being with any difficult emotion is what we should be teaching our kids. It's what I'm all about here. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's given you a few ideas. Drop it down in the comments, please do, of your experiences of working with your own grief around your kids. And have you had talks with your kids about grief? I'm no expert on like partner grief or kid grief and having to deal with that around family. I'm no expert on that, but all I can tell you is to be in touch with it and not push it away is definitely the answer, because it doesn't have the hold on you anymore as much as it did or would do if you pushed it away. So do drop it in the comments, any questions you've got, any aha moments from the video, and that would be much appreciated. I'll look forward to reading them and hopefully, get a community going and really support each other through these really difficult emotions. We have to acknowledge and honour that these are really difficult emotions. So to have a community to support within that is, again, something I'm looking for on this channel. So I used to do Carrie's Crack. This is Carrie's Crack. I used to do Chakra Tarot on here. And then I stopped because it was becoming a tarot channel and I didn't want it to be. I wanted it to be everything I've just said. So what I thought I would do is at the end of these Carrie's Cracks, just to keep me in with it, is to do a little card pull. So I'll do one shuffle. They have been shuffled. If I can do it on top of this. Ooh, there we go. Let's have a look. See what the card is of the week. So I might do a different card every week. I do these on my newsletter, by the way. Do a card pull for the month, so link will be in there for the description, in the description box for my newsletter as well, if you want to join on to that and get any tips, monthly tips for parents, mindfulness, and all that jazz. That one's sticking. Right, we've got the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. You can see it with the light reflecting. Lovely, isn't she? Look how elegant she is. Right next to that peacock. Very regal. Standing in her own feminine energy. Pentacles are about earthly, material, abundance, house, car, health, wealth. Greens are about a healing colour. So this could be a week about your health and your abundance coming to fruition. But it might take a little bit of patience because the Queen is not as forceful when it comes to being in power and progression. She does move, but she moves elegantly and takes her time, but gets the job done. So this can be wealth as well. So this could be some wealth coming to fruition this week. Anything that you think is abundance, your energy you could be finding better energy this week. So it's a lovely card, a lovely one to have this week. Don't feel like you're not progressing if it's not going bish bash bosh and really fast, like enjoy the ride, nurture yourself on this journey, be patient, and look what you can get. That whole regal, nurturing, feminine energy, that powerful feminine energy that we so need now. Okay, that's what I've got for you. Much love. Bye for now.